The history of science is often told as a triumphal narrative of genius, discovery, and progress. Yet beneath this celebratory surface lies a quieter, more uncomfortable truth. Many foundational scientific breakthroughs were shaped by structural inequalities, exclusion, and patriarchal power. Few stories illustrate this more starkly than the life and work of Rosalind Franklin, whose contributions were central to understanding the structure of DNA, yet whose recognition was systematically denied during her lifetime. Franklin was not merely a supporting figure in the discovery of DNA. She was an accomplished chemist and X-ray crystallographer whose data provided the decisive empirical foundation for one of the most important scientific discoveries of the 20th century. Her struggle exposes how gender bias, institutional hierarchy, and informal networks of power shaped scientific credit, and how patriarchy continues to influence who is remembered as a scientific genius. Franklin trained as a physical chemist and became an expert in X-ray diffraction, a technique requiring extraordinary technical skill, mathematical sophistication, and interpretive discipline. By the early 1950s, she was conducting pioneering research at King's College London, focusing on the structure of DNA. Her work produced Photo 51, the clearest X-ray diffraction image of DNA ever captured. This image revealed, with striking clarity, the helical structure of the molecule. Franklin's notebooks show that she had already deduced crucial parameters of DNA's geometry independently, including its helical symmetry and dimensions. Yet Franklin worked in an environment deeply shaped by gendered assumptions. She was treated as a subordinate rather than an intellectual equal, excluded from informal scientific networks, and positioned as difficult for asserting methodological rigor. Precision, celebrated in male scientists, was reframed as obstinacy when practiced by a woman. To understand Franklin's marginalization, one must move beyond individual personalities and examine institutional patriarchy. Scientific research in the mid-20th century was dominated by male hierarchies where authority, credit, and visibility were controlled through informal networks. Franklin's data was shown, without her knowledge or consent, to James Watson and Francis Crick, who were working at University of Cambridge. This breach of ethical practice was normalized within a culture that treated women's labor as communal property rather than intellectual ownership. Watson later portrayed Franklin dismissively in The Double Helix, reinforcing stereotypes of the difficult woman scientist. Such narratives did not merely reflect bias, they actively produced it, shaping how generations of readers understood scientific discovery. In 1962, Watson, Crick, and Maurice Wilkins received the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine for the discovery of DNA's structure. Franklin had died 4 years earlier, at the age of 37, from ovarian cancer. While Nobel Prizes are not awarded posthumously, the deeper injustice lies elsewhere. Franklin's contribution was never fully acknowledged even while she was alive. The prize citation and subsequent narratives minimized her role, reinforcing the idea that scientific insight belongs to those who theorize, not those who produce rigorous empirical evidence. This distinction itself reflects patriarchal assumptions, valuing abstract theorizing, coded masculine, over experimental labor, often feminized, despite the fact that theory without data is speculation. Franklin's experience reveals how patriarchy operates in science not through explicit exclusion alone, but through subtle mechanisms. Control of access to credit, informal male networks, gendered interpretations of behavior, narrative ownership of discovery. Women who challenge authority are often labeled uncooperative, while men asserting dominance are framed as visionary. Franklin's insistence on methodological caution, scientifically justified, was reinterpreted as a personal flaw. This pattern persists today. Numerous studies show that women scientists receive fewer citations, less grant funding, and diminished recognition for collaborative work, even when their contributions are equivalent or superior. In recent decades, Franklin's reputation has been partially restored. She is now recognized as a foundational figure in molecular biology, with laboratories, fellowships, and awards named in her honor. Yet symbolic recognition is not enough. Franklin's story must be understood not as an isolated injustice, but as a structural lesson. Scientific institutions must confront how power, gender, and hierarchy shape knowledge production. To teach science ethically is to teach its history honestly. Rosalind Franklin was not a tragic footnote to male genius. She was a scientist of extraordinary intellect whose work transformed biology. Her struggle exposes how patriarchy distorts scientific truth by determining whose knowledge counts. Honoring Franklin means more than correcting the record. It demands that contemporary science dismantle the structures that still marginalize voices based on gender, race, and power. Only then can science truly claim to be objective.